A new report released by Freedom House, a respected international democracy and human rights organization, has shed light on the alarming human rights situation in Artsakh. According to the report, the Azerbaijani regime has engaged in a campaign of ethnic cleansing, which meets the legal definition of genocide. This video will summarize the top 10 points from the Freedom House report, citing the evidence used in the report, and discuss why it is crucial to know about and address this issue.
Deliberate targeting of civilian populations. The report states that Azerbaijani forces have deliberately and systematically targeted civilian populations in Artsakh, including women, children, and the elderly. This targeting has resulted in numerous civilian deaths and injuries, as well as the widespread displacement of the Armenian population. The evidence used to support this claim includes eyewitness accounts, video footage, and forensic analyses.
Forced displacement. The Azerbaijani regime has forced thousands of Armenians to flee their homes, resulting in a significant demographic shift in the region. The report notes that this displacement is part of a larger strategy to establish Azerbaijani control over the territory and erase its Armenian heritage. Satellite imagery, testimonies from displaced persons, and official Azerbaijani documents are cited as evidence of this claim.
Intent to destroy? The report argues that the Azerbaijani regime's actions demonstrate an intent to destroy the Armenian population in Artsakh. This intent is evident in the deliberate targeting of civilian areas, the use of cluster munitions and other indiscriminate weapons, and the deliberate destruction of cultural and religious sites. The evidence includes eyewitness accounts, video footage, and expert analyses of Azerbaijani military strategy.
Systematic violence. The violence against the Armenian population in Artsakh has been systematic and widespread, affecting multiple communities and regions. The report cites numerous instances of violence, including killings, abductions, and sexual assault, as evidence of this claim.
Suppression of dissent. The Azerbaijani regime has suppressed dissent and critical voices within its own borders, including journalists, human rights defenders, and political opponents. The report argues that this suppression creates an environment that allows for human rights abuses to occur with impunity.
International communities in action. The report criticizes the international community for failing to adequately respond to the Azerbaijani regime's human rights abuses in Artsakh. The evidence includes statements from international organizations, governments, and human rights groups, highlighting the lack of a robust response to the crisis.
Erasure of Armenian heritage. The Azerbaijani regime has engaged in a systematic effort to erase Artsakh's Armenian heritage, including the destruction of churches, cemeteries, and other cultural and religious sites. The report argues that this erasure is part of a larger strategy to establish Azerbaijani control over the territory and deny the Armenian population's historical connection to the region.
Role of Turkey. The report highlights Turkey's role in supporting the Azerbaijani regime's human rights abuses in Artsakh. Turkey has provided military assistance, including the deployment of Syrian mercenaries, which has exacerbated the violence and hindered efforts to achieve a peaceful resolution.
Humanitarian crisis. The report emphasizes the dire humanitarian situation in Artsakh, with thousands of civilians displaced, injured, or killed, and essential infrastructure destroyed. The evidence includes testimonies from aid workers and displaced persons, as well as reports from international organizations. Call for accountability. The report concludes by calling for accountability for the Azerbaijani regime's human rights abuses in Artsakh. The report argues that the international community must take concrete steps to ensure that those responsible for these abuses are held accountable, including through the application of targeted sanctions and the establishment of an independent international investigative mechanism.
It is crucial to know about and address the Azerbaijani regime's human rights abuses in Artsakh for several reasons. First and foremost, the genocide and ethnic cleansing of any population constitute a gross violation of fundamental human rights, and the international community has a moral obligation to act to prevent and punish such atrocities. Second, the Azerbaijani regime's actions have created a dire humanitarian crisis that requires an urgent response. The international community must provide the necessary support to address the needs of the displaced population and to rebuild damaged infrastructure. Third, the international community's failure to adequately respond to the crisis in Artsakh risks emboldening other regimes to engage in similar human rights abuses. The application of targeted sanctions and the establishment of an independent international investigative mechanism could serve as a powerful deterrent and a means of ensuring accountability for those responsible for such abuses. Fourth, addressing the crisis in Artsakh requires a concerted effort from the international community. This effort must include diplomatic engagement, humanitarian aid, and accountability measures to prevent further human rights abuses and to promote a lasting peace in the region. By working together, the international community can help to ensure that the rights and dignity of the Armenian population in Artsakh are respected and protected. This is what can be done, and this is what should be done.